Waiting one sec. What's up to those of you in the waiting room? We've got John Rossi, Sabers Forever, here to talk about lightsabers with us. Star Wars Visions. We want to talk about Star Wars Visions, everything Star Wars Visions. We all loved it. We've also got Levi and Dylan from All New Nerds. We will be going live in a minute. Hang in there. All right, we're going to go live. What is up?
Hey. We're back.
Welcome back to the 35th installment of Jedi Jive Live.
Wowzers.
Yes.
I've been on like 20 of those.
Yeah, I know you have. I think Johnny probably has the record for like, he's probably only missed like 3 or 4, I feel like. But either way, All New Nerds, you guys are always here. There's always somebody from All New Nerds here. What's up, Brent? Age of Grogu, buddy. How's it going, man?
Brent.
Thanks for all the commentary. Brent always has great things to say, and I really enjoy your perspective, man. Well, actually, I should get you on here
to have in the chat
one of these days. Brent says, so did any of you guys get to check out the Visions extras yet? No, I didn't.
I haven't.
No, it's on my list.
It's worth a watch. It's always.
There's a lot.
It'll probably add a lot to this discussion if we had watched them.
Yeah.
It
will.
Yeah, well,
I've
seen clips, and you can just kind of tell how much like these creators actually do enjoy Star Wars, and like how excited they were to make put their own spin on it.
The biggest thing I saw was that the guy who made the Ninth Jedi, it's production IG, Studio IG, was like, "Well, we could make more. It's up to you guys." I was like,
a lot of them did kind of feel like, a lot of them felt like pilots, especially Cool. I mean, just the fact like when he opens his robe at the very end and you see all the crystals, you're just like, all right, that could go somewhere.
Yeah, I mean that one's kind of getting not a continuation, but a prequel, right? Essentially.
I think I might go around. That's the only one that is actual stuff that they made around it. Yeah, there's a whole novel based in that world called Ronin.
I read that.
But other than that,
which is, it's funny that there's that like maybe just not even on purpose connection to Marvel, with Ronin being a similar character in the like vigilante taking out bad guys. I mean, it's just for. What, you don't agree that there's a similarity to the Ronin in Marvel?
I just think that's what Ronin is. Like, that's just the name Ronin and Rogue Samurai. It's just a, I don't know.
Yeah. I guess
that's
so,
just like, I feel like they're both based on the same thing. So
did you also consider the implication of like him being like a Jedi Inquisitor, almost like the opposite of an Inquisitor, hunting down?
I haven't read
Sith
Ronin
like
yet, but on the back of the cover it says like, "I will serve the Jedi no longer," something like that. So I imagine he was a Jedi at one point, and then it things didn't work out so well.
Yeah, I was also curious what you thought the time frame was on that episode in particular. Do you think that's supposed to be like way in the future?
No, that one essentially is like a multiverse. It takes place in a different universe.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
but she does say like, "You're a Jedi" or whatever. And
there's still like Jedi and Sith, but that one is the most fully just a different take on what Star Wars is, and it's just its own little thing. As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
that's what's so fun just about the Visions, like in general, which Josh from Dead of Nerds is always saying this, but it's like we were watching it and we didn't know things, like we didn't know where it placed on timelines and just all that kind of stuff, and like what's going on in the background. Like they're their own isolated stories that just like it used the framework or building blocks of Star Wars, but it just did whatever it wanted.
But it's a fair question though, Mike, because most of them do have like places in the timeline.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
That where they're envisioned to be. The duel, I think, is honestly the one exception where it's just its own thing.
Would you say then that the Ninth Jedi is one that's supposed to be like distant future?
It's supposed to be. It is supposed to be after Episode 9. Yeah, it's supposed to be set after Episode 9. That's what they said.
But yeah, to me, it even felt even like more in the future.
Oh yeah, it's like probably like thousands of years.
They say like centuries, right?
That was actually something that popped into my head because a lot of people are talking. Well, I want to talk more about that episode in specific, like later on.
There's a lot.
I'd like to talk about them chronologically, like quickly, if we could.
Okay, yeah. No, all good.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody agrees that Episode 5, The Ninth Jedi, was probably the most like, oh shit, that could be a show in itself. Like make that show, take those characters.
I think I could make the case for La Pinocho too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are commenting that is a like hot off the press, like the fan art alone. The people are gonna be drawing that character all over the place. The DeviantArt kids are gonna be going crazy on that kind of thing. You all have DeviantArt pages.
Well, just the sister. Like I want to see what happens between Ocho and Lop. Like I want to see where that goes.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how that ends.
Brent, I think it was you that commented that you were like, before Visions, you saw that character, you were prepared to hate that episode.
Which is me.
Probably more
than
me
too.
Levi too. Levi was very outspoken.
And then it was a very pleasant surprise of whoa, this is really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good. The story was it was there, It was captivating enough. Did anybody have
It made me feel like a Miyazaki movie a lot too. It just reminded me of that.
Yes.
That vibe that you get from like a lot of Miyazaki movies. I don't know what it was. It was just sort of like some of them, obviously it's the art style, and like the mechanism of storytelling that they use in animes traditionally, but also just sort of like the ambiance of the episode. It just had the gestalt of a Studio Ghibli film.
But how did she survive at the end?
When she got slashed in the chest.
Yeah,
was anybody like, what?
Episode 3 had the same thing where Am got like cut through the lightsaber, but her suit got destroyed. But then it was what about her?
With the Studio Trigger one, I think that's just Trigger being Trigger. But in the La Pinocha one, I interpreted it as just
Lavelle, what's up, buddy?
It was just like the tips of the blades that slashed. Like it was like a surface
Mandy
level
and Angie.
cut because she had like that little dagger and then the saber, and like it was from afar, and it looked like it just like cut the front of her. So she'll have like scars and stuff, but I don't think it went like deep.
She might have pulled her punches a bit there too.
I noticed that they had the same. Sister, so. I feel like they showed like an X cut in both episode 3 and the La Pinocha episode.
Studio Trigger has that one is just over the top. There's no like explanation for that. That's just madness.
Wait, wasn't Trigger did the Elder and
they did the Elder too.
Those were very different episodes.
Man.
Yeah. Was it? Yeah. Okay. Here's where I'm gonna be like, let's rein this in and kind of like go. I want to go one by one. I know.
Yeah, let's do it.
By the way, I know Brent, Lavelle, Angie, Mandy. You guys have probably already seen All New Nerds live from the other day, right after Visions. You guys, I had to bail on your live because I had only seen 4 episodes at that point.
Tragic.
But if you haven't been over there, you probably have. But go over, subscribe to All New Nerds. They're approaching 800 subs. Got to get them to 1,000 before the end of the year.
900.
Oh wait, 900. Oh, you're 8. Oh, nice. You guys are like right on the doorstep of 1,000. Can't wait for you guys. Go over and watch that video. You guys have probably talked about a lot of this already, but I was so eager to hear from you guys face to face about Visions because I really have been pumped about this. What was it, March when they announced? What month was it? It was December.
They announced when they
put out, and they also said that Hayden Christensen was going to be in Kenobi. It was that that was that announcement.
Well, it's 10 months ago now.
Investors meeting then. So does that mean there's another investors meeting in December?
So there is the Disney Plus Day, which is November 12th, and we talked about this in our live.
I don't want to get too off topic. I was just.
I mean, a quick summary. It's confusing because Disney does something different every year. One year they're at Comic-Con. One year it's D23, which is like the Disney convention.
Yes.
Then the next year it's the Investor Day, which is this whole like new thing because
they
have quarterly reports for investors, but this was like a weird streamed presentation thing that was sort of new.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I remember they did like the Rise of Skywalker like final trailer or whatever.
Well, that was at D23. Yeah. And now this year it's a Disney Plus Day because it has been 2 years of Disney Plus. So it's like, hey guys, it's Disney Plus Day, and so it's specifically. And now they're putting the like how they would normally stream something. They're just uploading content to Disney Plus for you to see. Like the presentations are just going to be on the service. It's going to be weird. It's a whole new thing.
Yeah. Anyway, I do actually, you know what? Lightsabers. I want to go over just like lightsabers in general because John is here. Sabers Forever, Sabersmith himself. Somebody that's actually like you are like deep in saber culture. You know, like this, you know, the state of the art lightsaber stuff. You know what's on the mind of people that are all about lightsabers.
It's funny because I think that people are a little bit overloaded. Like, I definitely remember watching this and like around episode 7, just sitting there and being like, man, they just like everyone's a Jedi. But you just gotta like go with it and know that it's not the same timeline every episode. But I think what I'm really shocked about is like people were really big into like when they announced the book, like the new characters. They had like the Jedi, the KOTOR sabers with the wannabe crossguard that came out. Mm-hmm. So that saber design alone is something that was like way more far-fetched than anything we actually got in Visions. But that's not to say that they weren't like creative with it. So I really personally liked in the duel the fact that the sheath, like, you know, that it doubled as another saber. You know, it just got like that little bit of a tricky switcheroo at the end there where he was hiding the saber in the statue behind the waterfall. But like just little things like that lead you to, you know, create little backstories also on the character. So like it seemed like to me they didn't really address it, but it seemed like the saber, like it never turned off, which is kind of a cool.
He put it back into his back into his sheath with it still turned on, and you could even hear it like, and I was like, you've never seen that before.
And in the world of the duel as well, I mean, the bandit leader uses an attachment for a lightsaber because
an adapter. Some people
I think the way it like works there with the way Kyber crystal works is just different. Like it was focusing the blade out of multiple different points, so it stands to reason that his sheath thing just had an additional Kyber crystal in it that he could use.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
that's an interesting. Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of all of them were sort of like Kyber crystal, very weapon focused episodes. You know, I mean, I did not expect. You kind of said this, John. It's John, right?
Yeah.
They were all focused on Jedi and lightsabers, and I didn't expect that. I thought maybe some of them would be just based off the trailers, but then I just.
Yeah,
guess the other one.
There's also the that umbrella lightsaber. Obviously, like right off the bat, it's like, oh, that's like it was like a helicopter saber because she flew down with it. But then it immediately became apparent that it was like an umbrella, which is something we haven't seen. And then later on in Lop and Ocho, she carried an umbrella as well and even used it as like a glider.
Yeah.
Granted, hers was like a normal umbrella, but even Brent was pointing out here that like umbrellas are definitely like a.
That's one of my favorite shots of the entire show. Is when the speeder crashes and she uses the umbrella to float. I was like, that's pretty sweet.
In that scene, I don't know if you did, but it reminded me a little bit of Han Solo on Corellia in his car on that causeway looked very similar. And that gave me vibes of that. I also loved how a lot of these episodes, the like living in harmony with nature theme was like a common theme throughout, which is like no surprise because I mentioned Miyazaki earlier, but like a lot of Japanese movies are like living in harmony with nature. It's like one of the main themes across the board. And seeing like, you know, speeders and causeways and like a flying star destroyer, but then like townhouses and like marketplaces and seeing like that like modern and new blended with like the old and traditional, that juxtaposition is also like I love that. In Star Wars in general. But
it's funny, I saw like a ton of memes after the trailer for Visions was released about that umbrella saber, and it's just like no, you couldn't help yourself, but everybody's like, that's gonna be a lot of soundboards. Because like each one would need to be an individual soundboard strictly for the battery purposes. Like if you're running even just regular LEDs, it's gonna drain too much power. But that install, man, that would be a hell of a thing to see.
Well, I want to throw this in there only because if Johnny were here,
you hear it like the speed that it spins. Oh wow, yeah.
If Johnny were here, Johnny would mention this because he kept bringing it up during our reaction. But you know, John, you're talking about like the logistics of it, but Johnny just kept noticing that because there are a lot of sabers in the show that almost all of the noises were either Kylo Ren's ignition noise or he's like, and he's like, that's Rey's. And I was like,
the elder, right? The elder guy. I was like, that sounds like Kylo Ren's saber.
Almost all of them though, from the beginning, he was just like, that's Kylo Ren's. That I wasn't paying. I was like, this is just cool. But for whatever reason, he just really fixated on that. That all the ignition noises were all like.
That's interesting.
Kylo Ren's for dark side.
That's something I was a little disappointed with, and I just kind of wrote it off because ultimately, when I started realizing how many sabers were going to be in the show, I was like, this is going to be really good for getting new samples. But I started noticing early on, yeah, a lot of them are just from the new sequel era, and I guess it's whatever they like. The audio files that they sent are probably just whatever they've compiled while Disney's been in control. But yeah, there's nothing really new. You know.
Well, you know what?
I actually familiar sounds.
I actually feel like that was one of the things that I loved most about Visions was the overall reverence for the lightsaber in general. Not just in the imagery of like, oh, this is a family heirloom and it's been passed down through the generations from like a Jedi long ago. Like that alone is very like, oh, this has like a history behind it. But like having the like, oh, that just sounds like a regular old lightsaber that I've heard before. I'm like, yeah, like that's the point. I feel like hearing that traditional lightsaber sound and being like giving, paying homage to the lightsaber and having it be a sacred thing, I feel like is.
I think though it's funny because
that's very Star Wars right there.
It probably is just that Lucasfilm gave all these studios a bunch of high quality audio files, and the ones that are available that are like in super high quality are of the past, decade or so. And I
think ILM did it. I'm pretty sure. Like all the audio. I saw somebody commented. They were like, props to this company for basically, doing such a great job with the audio and music or sound effects and everything. So whoever did it is definitely,
Ooh, I don't know if you know, I noticed right away in the first episode, the duel in particular, right off the bat, the negative space in the audio was brilliantly used too, where they would pull the audio out and it would be almost silent, where you would just hear a little bit of wind, and it would be like only the necessary, like, and it was like,
one of my favorite
go ahead.
shots from, I was just gonna say, one of my favorite parts from the duel is when Ronin and that Sith lady bandit leader were fighting, and then I think, yeah, there you go. And then her cape, the shot's just her cape.
Yeah,
all you can hear in the background is them fighting. Yeah, great shot.
Sweet. I would say if you wanted to take it back to let's go through these chronologically. Yeah, in the duel, another one of my favorite shots in the show, because I got a lot of those, is just the intro. The fact that it's space and then it fades into film grain, which I thought was just the coolest thing, that it's a pan down into black.
I feel like there were like 3 or 4 episodes that started on like a space shot.
There were, but this one I think the most unique.
But that pan, the one thing following that up, because I really loved this also, and only rewatching it did I really catch it. But the title says the duel in Arabesh. But it's like written like the
Japanese,
like traditional. Yeah,
so
loved
cool.
it.
The first time I watched it, I thought it was Japanese. And then the second time I was like, wait, that's
Arabesh.
That's Arabesh. I thought, that's super cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I had asked you guys if you had watched a second time yet. I didn't necessarily. You have all watched twice. Yeah, and I've watched twice.
Most of them twice. Yeah.
And looking across like commentary and what people have been saying, I think most people agree that episodes 1, 5, and 7 are like the strongest, and then some people think that like 8 and some. What else besides? Oh yeah, 4 and 8. I've seen some other people really.
4 and 8 is like the alternative favorite.
Yeah, exactly.
Village Village Bride.
People that love those love those ones.
And
particularly number 4.
Elder is 7, right?
Elder is 7.
Yeah. Okay. So I agree with the first group.
Yeah, I did really, really like the Elder, but I'm not sure I put it quite as high as this episode 5. I feel like the Elder was a little bit like, this guy is basically Qui-Gon. Like this. I mean, that's cool, but it was.
I appreciated it.
Yes.
I think I appreciated the fact that it felt like an anime, but it was obviously in the Star Wars universe, and it felt like it took place after Return of the Jedi. So maybe, I don't know. They don't.
I think
really
that one.
No, they do have a Padawan. You're right.
With that one, it's that it takes place.
He does mention that the Sith died out long ago or whatever.
Yeah, no, that one's supposed to take place in between, like when Darth Bane starts the rule of 2 in the Phantom Menace.
Oh, okay.
That's what they said. That was the press release. Was like, this takes place before Phantom Menace. And so for that one, honestly, I thought it was like going to be only a couple decades before Phantom Menace when I read the press release, but within the context of the show, the master says it's been hundreds of years since the Sith have been gone, but we know that by like the beginning of it's 1,000. And so I was like, is this is like in the dark times of like before the High Republic, but it's after like the Sith Wars. It's just like dead in the middle of no one, like it's just this dark period of Star Wars that no one really knows, and I think it's super cool what they
did.
100%.
They just nailed the feel of it, you know, like that whole episode. I just feel like the vibe of it was just, it flowed really well. I was captivated. I was interested in what they were trying to tell. And I mean, they were pulling at my heartstrings. I mean, Jedi and Sith, you know, so it was pretty cool. Really nice. It reminded me a lot of Phantom Menace too.
It definitely nailed the like dynamic between the master and apprentice, you know, and that's like, it did that really great. I thought like up until the fight, it felt really slow, which I guess might have been the point. It just didn't 100% work for me.
A few episodes like that for me. I felt like episode 4 was like that, where I felt like it burned real slow at first.
Oh yeah, the Village Bride definitely is a slow burn. Pays off though.
And then also episode 9, the Akakiri one was like a slow.
Oh no, Akakiri was not slow. Not to me anyway.
Well, I mean, it's also the shortest episode, so it got to the point real quick.
Like, but the music, the drums of Akakiri the whole time, and like it starts with the
they
B-wing
were slowly
crashing
speeding
and, like,
up. Did you hear?
And Henry Golding kills it his voice is like butter, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
I could listen to that guy talk all day.
The drums matched his like turn to the dark side. Like the closer he got to flipping, the drums got faster and faster. I was like, "This is."
Johnny and I were stunned by Akakiri when we watched it. And
really?
Honestly, yeah, we loved that one.
Yeah,
because it is just like another
that huge Jedi lady though. Like she looked like a Hanya mask or something with like a. She looked like Blanca from Street Fighter or something. I don't know what it was. She was like really creepy.
The art is super out there. But
I do, you know what, she had, by the way, this brings me back to something I want to talk about with John. We've been talking about lightsabers. A lot of these lightsabers that they specifically showed had like flat-bladed, slightly curved samurai.
Thing, yeah.
They looked like katanas, yeah. But I noticed it wasn't just like across the board. Like in the Elder, for instance, the Padawan had a regular old blue, rounded at the tip, cylindrical lightsaber, and the Elder guy had two.
Well,
short,
some of them,
like
or whatever. Lop and Ocho, that one.
But they're
has
flat-bladed.
A physical. That one has looks like it has a physical saber inside. The blade.
Yes, because it had like etchings in it. Did you notice that? Yeah. So I was like, oh, that blade is like an actual blade.
But then like the Village Bride yellow lightsaber is just like katana shaped, but energy. So like there's a lot of different takes.
Yeah. So there were
out of all of them, 9, like I did not like the way that they did the sabers for that. Just that like ghosting. You know, that they did
the way
the trail.
Like, flowed. Yeah,
I was like, this doesn't work for me. Like, I like it when it looks like the light of the sabers bending.
Yeah.
You know,
but I gotta watch 9 again.
The Inquisitor in episode 6 had samurai style.
Yeah. But I like that they blended. You know, they brought, so like you said in the Elder, you know, the Sith had the flat, weird, bent blade, and then the Padawan having the standard. Like, that was cool because they're just trying to breathe a little bit more life into the customization.
But to me, that's also the, like, remember how I mentioned there was a juxtaposition between, like, the clean, modern temple with, like, the old school looking village townhouses with, like, rice paper walls or whatever, where it was like, oh, this is, like, new and old put together. It's traditional and modern blending together. And then I feel like that saber concept of, like, he has this, like, clean blue modern space age lightsaber, whereas this Elder guy has like traditional like knives that are, you know what I mean? It just felt that
it made him feel very old. The Elder. Obviously he's the
that
Elder.
Character
old and young.
That character is such a like they were really pulling from like those old samurai like villains where
he even had
like,
the Fu Manchu or whatever.
Tricky, like, oh, what could he do? He could barely stand on his 2 feet, and then he just comes at you like full force. Like, what are you gonna? That's terrifying. But something that I wanted to also bring up. So the big thing is I was watching this show, and only after like 4 episodes I was researching it because it was bothering me, and I was like, are these events canon? You know? And I was happy to actually learn that they are not, just for little things. But one of them that bothered me the most was seeing the tempering of the crystal. And after watching the 9th Jedi, I like immediately took it back for seeing how they utilized that. You know, like watching early on, you see the sabersmith essentially
where he's hammering it. You mean
hammering a crystal, and I'm like, what is going on? This is ridiculous. And they really utilized it very well. And just in the real world, it actually helps out a lot because all these guys are color changing. So that's
I think something that's sort of missed, or I missed anyway, I shouldn't say that is missed in general, but I missed anyway the first time, is that I didn't really put together that the Lajima, the Sabersmith, because when he holds his lightsaber, it's blue, and I was like, okay, so he's a Force sense, like he is a Jedi, and like that didn't really click for me. But what he's doing is like, well, Johnny and I were talking over it because we were reacting to it, but there's a lot of dialogue about it. It's still within the Star Wars, like Kyber crystals still work normally. It's just these specific crystals he has been like, he uses something, you see him do something to it, and that's when he hammers it.
Yeah, it's
make
technique.
Them like to make them the way they are. It's not just, oh, in this version of Star Wars, this is how crystals are. It's this guy, this specific Jedi, did this to them, and I think that's a distinct difference.
It's paying homage to like those like in Kill Bill, Hattori Hanzo. Everybody's yes, Hattori Hanzo sword. Like so they're paying homage to that and giving this specific smith, which in part is ridiculous anyways that there's a sabersmith, but they're giving this smith a purpose. You know, he's got something unique that he does that nobody else does, and they utilized it so well in that episode. Like every time I think back on that episode, I like it more.
Yeah, and I was surprised that when she pulled out the lightsaber and it was full length. Yeah, like I know everybody freaked out immediately there because it was like, how is like, dude, you know that they've you know in the like. When they do like they show lightsabers in books, it'll say like the blade lengthening button or whatever on the side of the. So you know it's a feature, but we've never actually seen it before.
Rebels, you see it in Rebels a lot. You see it.
Is it though?
It is canonized.
Not that long though, where it's like a 10-foot like saber. Like
it's called dual phase, and Darth Vader's lightsaber actually has it, where it utilizes a secondary crystal that is set out of, it's not in alignment when he's normally using it, but you like push a button and it shifts the crystal in, and it literally in the books says
this is why you're here, John.
It doubles the length of the saber blade.
That's amazing. That's sweet. I thought that feature alone was like, whoa, like that's so cool.
You see it in Rebels and Clone Wars, the blade length changing.
But then simultaneously, like it not having color, it being like, almost like a dark saber.
Not the color thing, but the length thing I thought was cool because that is something we already knew. Because like it's how Ahsoka's Shoto blade is so short. Like that blade, like not only. And Ezra changes his all the time, like based on the height. Like there's a scene in Rebels where he holds it, and he holds Kanan's saber, and it's way too long for him, and he turns it down because he's too short, and so like to match it.
Okay.
But in this the Ninth Jedi, because we're just talking about it now. When I saw this piece of concept art with her standing against the speeder with all of those lightsabers on her belt, like that was the first thing I had seen of this. I immediately was in. I was like, this looks amazing with the Star Destroyer in the background. I was like, oh my god. And
I'm sure you immediately picked up on them when she rappels down the rope. I was like, oh, this is Rey. This is like 100%. This they're trying to, and even the musical theme was like, this is Rey's theme.
Mike.
Yeah,
thank you.
I
Johnny was yelling at me. He was like, it's not that similar.
There were slight differences.
I was like, yes, it is. I was like, it is so similar.
They were taking actual sections out of the music and inserting it into this music.
Clearly, the Studio IG people really liked Rey's introduction in Force Awakens. That is what this was an homage to, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
And there were a lot of these homages in a lot of the episodes where it was just in Akakiri, for instance. Like to me, I was like, this is Anakin and Padme.
Yeah, that's Anakin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and they're like little echoes, and that brought me back to thinking about George Lucas always talking about the like it's poetry, it echoes or whatever, and I felt like that was appropriate here. That this isn't a canon situation. John said he loves that it's like this isn't canon, but it's an echo. It's an echo. It's a reverberation of something that we love, that we are familiar with, and that it's also being like paying homage to it, being like, I love you, thank you, Star Wars, for inspiring me to be an artist. Like, and it's the artists giving back to Star Wars, and that read for me.
Having it not be canonized, I think, will allow a lot of people just to let go a little bit, to try and enjoy it, So I know that every time I turn I hate that I do this, but every time I turn something Star Wars on, I'm always looking at it with a critical eye, and I'm like, is this making me happy? And if it's not, then it's not doing its job,
Right. So, it's always a little upsetting when you're watching something Star Wars and you're like,
and this is why I don't watch The Last Jedi ever.
I'm coming for you, Mike.
You can watch it all you want. It's all
for
good.
me now, but that's another.
I really want to watch it.
I was watching it last night. I just put it on, and I was like, man, so good.
Yeah, I've been watching Mandalorian again, actually.
That's great.
So that'll make you happy, you know.
I had a little bit of an internal struggle of like, I liked to watch the sequel trilogy just because of how good it looks. But then Mandalorian solved that for me, so.
You got a Vicryl helmet behind you.
And dude, that gets me excited for Book of Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett is going to be like.
I see him. I see you, Vicryl. I see you.
He's there. He's there.
Yes.
Hey,
anyway,
I love a lot of the concepts of the sequels, and like I want to love it more than anything. It's just the story that didn't grab me, and that's what I love about Star Wars. So I visually love it. I love like I would say 80%. I'm like 80% satisfied with the sequels as they are, and I'm not a big complainer. I like Star Wars.
I actually say that's generous.
On the Ninth Jedi, though. I don't want. I'm not going to let this turn into a sequel discussion.
No,
that's not. Yeah,
I love that. Like, this one over all of them. I think the reverence for the lightsaber, because it's obviously part of the main plot. But the fact that the ending shot is the space station turns, and you go,
it looks like a lightsaber.
It's a lightsaber, and you hear the ignition noise.
Yeah,
like that's what they leave you with. Is you see you see the shape of a lightsaber in the entire station, and then you hear the zzz of a lightsaber.
It's also
these people really like the lightsaber. I was like, okay.
We talked about this, but it's another one of the ones that's like, this could be an entire show on its own, and I almost wish I want it to be. I want to see more than that Jedi. I want to see those 4 Jedi.
Probably we will get more of.
Yeah, I saw them. Somebody mentioned that they were saying like, well, it's actually, if there's good feedback, maybe there will be. And
it seems like there's no way. So. I don't think there's no way that we don't see more of.
Well, and for that episode specifically, I've seen across the board people being like, that's my favorite. Like that should be a show. People are saying it.
So that raises the question then. Do you feel like they just fed us 9 pilots and are just going to cherry pick everyone's favorites?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, and then I think we'll get a Vision season 2 where some of them continue into like those like probably the twins, obviously the 9 Jedi, all those ones, and then maybe they'll have some new ones alongside.
I think
those.
the twins, Lop and Ocho and 9 Jedi are the ones that have the most like. Come back next week for the next episode.
Right.
Yeah. And then it does.
Especially I felt like at the end they had assembled that squad in the 9th Jedi. Where was it Omen they called him, had the purple lightsaber? His had turned back to purple after, and he's like, "Oh, sorry,
weird. Yeah.
They're I was overtaken by their darkness or whatever."
Yeah, there's so much story there by a simple line.
He's like, "We know that's not you," and he was like, and he stopped.
He was like, "Knock this off. This isn't you." And he's
like,
"Oh
yeah."
It was funny how it was kind of resolved in one line. He's like, yeah, you know what, you're right. And then he's just hanging
to me, though, that's like the connection with Mace Windu there, and the whole, like, in order to have a purple saber, you have to be somebody that's, like, comfortable with, like, using the dark side, but not falling. Yeah.
Right.
So you're somebody that's kind of able to straddle the line there. And I feel like
so
the yellow doesn't do that as much, because the yellow, I feel, is more associated with, like the Temple Guard have yellow sabers, and Rey has a yellow saber, and it's more about the, like, I know people will say the term gray Jedi or whatever, but I feel like the purple is so much more of the like Mara Jade, Mace Windu, somebody that's both dark and light simultaneously. Yeah, that's what a lot of people loved about Mace Windu too. Was the clear like Yoda is the wisdom. Mace Windu is actually the most powerful lightsaber fighter. Like he defeats Palpatine. If you can argue that Palpatine is the strongest lightsaber duelist in the galaxy, then you have to agree that Mace Windu is, because
that one's always a toss-up for me, because there's always the potential that Palpatine threw it, so Anakin would, kill Mace Windu.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
That's actually really true.
Master manipulator.
You can't really argue.
I mean, without him killing Mace Windu, that doesn't really happen right there, So
lightsabers, man.
My mind right now.
I also loved in Lop and Ocho the hilt of that family saber had the like traditional
flourish thing on it.
That was like one of the coolest sabers I've ever seen. I feel like, and the box that it came in, like you're gonna have to make those too, Johnny. Do you make custom boxes for your builds ever?
I do not, but I just usually direct people over to Etsy. There's a lot of makers there that do lightsaber boxes.
Yeah, I could run upstairs and get it, but you'll appreciate this, John. I bought some custom electric guitar pickups for a guitar that I built, and the guy that built them This guy it's Jalen Guitar. I don't know if you ever heard of Jalen before, but yeah, it came in like he like took a box and like burned my name into it and like just like carved like just the package that they came in was amazing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, the second he brought that box out and was like untying it, I was like, oh, there's a lightsaber in there. That's a lightsaber. Yeah, loved it. I also noticed though that she had like a sai at the end. Sai like a Raphael the Ninja Turtle style weapon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she uses her,
and it looked like it was like an energy
like a vibroblade maybe.
Yeah,
sort of.
It didn't look ordinary.
The force on it. It was cool.
I don't know. I don't know if she did. I think that's just that weapon because when she touches it glows
to the
blue.
Weapon.
Well, no, like because those were her dad's ones that he dropped, and I don't think like he was. I don't think the implication was that they were all force sensitive, or even that she was force sensitive. I couldn't tell. It's right on the line because when she like motions for it, it glows blue and then goes as if it like that's part of the function of the blade is that it's like it can float or do something. And I'm like, I don't know because her dad was using them and they were glowing blue. And I was like, is it like?
I thought that was the ability that got passed down to her. That along with the blade, she also is given the force, and that's like.
She wasn't blood. Well, what did they say? What their dad's name was, or was he just father?
He had a name.
They did.
Anyway, but he had been pointing out where it's like we may not be blood, but like the connection is there, and I feel like that's one of those like you can say that about Rey even, where it's like okay, you're not like actually a Skywalker, but she's identifying as one.
But in terms of, I never interpreted that as they passed down the Force. I just took it as they had such reverence for this Jedi long ago.
Well, she could be coincidentally a Force user just because of her.
Like the family passes down the blade, and they have reverence for the blade. And then what I mean, they even like they modeled their family sigil off of the Jedi like Starbird that they have, and like I just think they're like the reverse of the Sith acolytes. They're like Jedi acolytes. They're like, so these guys are cool.
If Ocho is like old enough to be, doing her own thing politically, even, then how is she not old enough to have like already inherited that saber? I know he made a comment about like if you think I favor her over you, sometimes like don't sweat it. Like
it might have been a matter of circumstance thing because
it
was probably waiting. It was probably waiting until he died, honestly, to pass that on.
I think the blade was his, but then because he lost his like one blood daughter, and he was like, well, the family is like technically over now. So he said, well, it's not by inheritance. Something about it's not inheritance, or inheritance about something more than just blood. I don't know. Yes, it was very like Rey Skywalker. Like, okay, yes, the point. I get the point.
I was shocked actually that every single episode not only like featured lightsabers, but also like the lightsaber itself was like a subject matter in every single episode, where there was like specific scenes like specifically talking about the lightsaber or the kyber crystal,
I think save Tatooine Rhapsody.
It's not like
it was a joke
in Solo, like at the very end. Spoiler alert: if you haven't seen Solo, Maul appears and like briefly lights a lightsaber and like uses the Force to like pull the lightsaber over to him. But that's it. And you could be like, it's hard for something to be Star Wars if it doesn't have the Force and lightsabers in it. But this is Solo or whatever. But this, not a single studio, not a single episode didn't feature lightsabers and the Force.
Yeah,
think about
I think that comes a lot from just like Japanese culture in general, and like also just the medium of anime. Like I had that same thought, but now I'm also thinking like I don't see why any of them wouldn't take that stance, and they all did it so wonderfully. And it was
part of me wonders if like maybe I don't know who, but I'll just say Disney, when they were like picking the studios or whatever, that they just gave them criteria to make it a little easier. Like it has to have a lightsaber, it has to have Force.
Yeah.
Like because it's either that
or it has to have a bunny girl creature in it.
Yeah, it's either that or every studio was like, we're doing Star Wars, why wouldn't we put lightsabers in the Force in it?
Right.
Johnny's gonna pop in.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's totally possible too, where they all sort of like they probably didn't know what other studios were doing, so they're like, yeah, I'm putting a lightsaber and a Jedi and a Sith in this thing. Of course, I'm doing that. Like this is my one shot.
And one studio was brave enough to be like, we're putting Boba Fett in it. And it's gonna be the best part of the whole episode.
So wait, what?
I remember they talked about that before in like the little press conference thing, and so didn't they say originally a lot more of them were going to have sort of legacy characters like Boba Fett and stuff, but eventually it just ended up being one, which was Tatooine Rhapsody. Yeah,
And I honestly think that Tatooine Rhapsody, it doesn't have that emphasis on the Force and lightsaber.
No,
he has a lightsaber in the beginning, but then he becomes a microphone. Like that's.
Would you agree that the twins had a loose connection to Jason and Janna Legends material in a way?
I think it has as much connection to the dyad in the Force and also to like Han or Leia.
But also
Luke.
it's
it's just twins.
They actually showed them briefly being like created in a lab too. Hey, Johnny.
That's because
in a car, Johnny. What's up, buddy?
Hello.
Hello.
What's up, everybody?
In transit. What's going on, buddy?
In transit.
Yeah.
I'm with Gibbs.
Hey,
Gibbs. All the nerds.
How's it going, all
the nerds?
Sweet.
Hello,
so
guys.
Johnny, I was saying that like I had to bail on your guys' live stream the other day because I had only watched 4 episodes at that point. I hadn't even seen The Ninth Jedi yet.
I know. You are the best one. But now you've seen them all, right?
Yeah, I've seen them all. I've done all my reactions are up. Fortunately, you know what I have to say. I thought the episode lengths were perfect.
I
agree.
But here's the one thing I'm pissed about is the fact that like this could have been a weekly thing and it wasn't. I just feel like it was like disrespectful to each individual creator to post them all at once because obviously some are gonna like trump others. So I just feel like if they gave,
also people will get to episode 2 and quit immediately. They'll be like, "This sucks." I saw people say that. They were like, "I couldn't get past episode 2," and I just turned it off.
Episode 2 was what?
Tatooine Rhapsody.
Right.
Definitely the weakest.
Yeah.
The Obi-Wan is the weakest. The Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Levi and I agree with.
I don't agree.
We're not biggest fans.
I've seen a lot of people who are Astro Boy fans.
Yeah, I like the concept of Astro Boy in Star Wars, but it was a little...
Yeah. But then also apparently the voice actor in the Japanese version is like a very, very, very famous manga voice actor.
But it wasn't. But it wasn't just an Astro Boy homage. It was Astro
straight up.
Like it was straight up Astro Boy.
Yeah. Well, I read off the bat was like, this is Pinocchio. It was Pinocchio in Star Wars.
Which is
like,
I
dream of being a real boy.
Yeah,
we got Professor X, right?
Yeah, Mega Man. I said Mega Man, yeah.
The design of the guy. Like, I'm not, like, a huge Astro Boy fan.
Mega Man and Astro Boy are, like, identical, though.
But, like, that design of the Doctor is, like, identical to Astro Boy and Mega Man. Like, it's, like, it is the same thing. And I was like, okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, but when it's like not a loose interpretation, it's a very direct, like we are appreciating something that we love and being like, this is but giving it back again. To me, I feel like
within the context of that episode,
in the way that Visions in general is fan
art. If you just took that Obi-Wan in a vacuum, I had a hard time following the story.
Yeah, the like video game sound effects when he walks and stuff was a little bit like jarring at first because it was like. This is weird.
That's what threw me off. That's what threw me off. I went,
It's like a video game.
That noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought, I don't know. I thought it was fine. I didn't think any of them were like truly awful. I thought they were like, good in their own way, but yeah. I thought the Obi-Wan was fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really have the potential even to be that awful because it doesn't mess with canon or anything. So it's like if you don't like one, it's like just don't watch it again.
Yep.
I'd say the majority of them
I bet there's people out there who are like, who think this is canon.
Was that ship in the basement a T-16 Skyhopper?
It was.
Yeah. Yes.
Luke
awesome.
flying it like that, and
honestly, okay, yeah. One of my favorite parts of Visions. Honestly, I'll fine. It was Obi-Wan. All like the markings in the walls, that was super cute. And you saw like General Grievous and like the Jedi Temple and the New
the curving X-wings are the original poster art from A New Hope. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're talking about original poster art. The Duel straight up had the poster of the movie.
The Duel had the poster.
Yes.
It was so cool.
In the show.
Yeah, like a propaganda poster. It was awesome.
That's great.
I think the Duel stylistically was probably one of the
stand out for sure.
Impressive ones. Yeah.
Also, that was definitely CG. It was not drawn.
There was a blend
for a lot of it. Yeah.
I actually
the only characters.
The only moment in the whole series where I actually made a negative comment was in Tatooine Rhapsody when you first show up at Mos Espa. And it like does like a panning shot. It blatantly went computer animation for a few seconds, and I was like, "That is so out of place."
Mike,
it looked so bad.
As a person who's worked in the animation industry, how did you think? What did you think of the show overall?
Brilliant. Well, you know what? I can already I've always been a fan of, like I said, Miyazaki. I've been a huge fan of Miyazaki for years. since I was a kid even. So like I already am cool with the style of anime where it's minimalistic. A lot of times there isn't any actual animation. It's literally a static piece of art where like somebody's mouth is like vaguely moving, and then it's there's not that much actual animation involved. It's more just like, you know, there are some, granted there was a lot of actual animation in Visions, but like I meant like anime in general is very comfortable with not animating. They're comfortable with just establishing a shot, making it look beautiful, and then telling a story, because the story is what's important.
It was the Village Bride, Johnny. The ending was just still frames.
Yeah. Well, that one I was actually like, this looks like the studio didn't finish. That this is incomplete.
That's what we were saying.
If they didn't finish it,
it was storyboarded. Yeah.
Typically, that's to like cut costs, and then when you get to a crazy fight scene, that's where you pour all your money and time into the animation.
I was like, this is incomplete, because it didn't look like, it was 100% like they didn't finish that section of it, but decided to just show it anyway as like tease, like, hey, we could do more, which we've been saying that a lot of this is just, these are all pilots for potential Star Wars projects.
Right, so before, oh, go ahead, Johnny.
I thought it was funny, like every Sith or like red lightsaber, most of them had the Kylo lightsaber.
Yeah, we said that.
I knew you would mention it, so I brought it up for you just in case you didn't show up. I was like, if Johnny were here, he would say this.
Yeah, so the base of the Elders was even crackling, right? Like Kylo Ren.
Yeah, they were all, yeah.
Loved it.
I bet you picked up on that, John, too, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
I told them I was mainly interested in like getting new samples, and everything is just
reused. I know.
I feel like
that they'd get
I specifically loved the Village Bride at the end when she like her saber is like right in the camera, and it was like whoa. It was
the Ray sound.
The Ray sound, but that still sounded dope.
And that was really cool. It was cool.
How about her like turbo?
Yeah, I was hoping that they were gonna like maybe have different lightsaber sounds, like introduce new ones, but it was fine. It was cool.
I think didn't Ninth Jedi? I feel like some of the blades were, at least from the OG.
Maybe.
They weren't sequel. I know they weren't. There
was too many lightsabers.
There was that one sort of Mace Windu looking one that they all looked at and were like, ooh. And I was like, that's like every Star Wars fan watching this right now is like, ooh.
The hilt designs and like all the episodes like that showed them like La Pinocho has in the Night Jedi. Dude, those hilts were so sick.
Yeah, we had said even the box it came in was beautiful. It was like,
the box was
and then
cool.
I noticed that it had did you notice the Jedi Rebel insignia that was made out of a crane? Did you see that? Like the bird, the crane?
On the La Pinocho one?
Yes, there was
that's
like
what I was saying. That's what I was saying.
It was a crane in the shape of a Rebel insignia or whatever.
That's what I was saying. The Starbird,
so
the Republic Starbird, and the Jedi symbol, like those are all very similar. But that was the family like crest of their, and they modeled it after. That's what I was trying to say. I don't think they're Force sensitive. I just think they took
No, somebody said that you actually do see Lop like pull that side. Like she like
I don't know if she does that or it's just like anime combined with that's what the weapon is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if like I can't tell.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like the whole episode is like, is she or is she not Force sensitive? It's just that one moment where it's like, oh.
I feel like the only episode we haven't talked about is episode 3. Like we really didn't touch on that much yet.
Well, you were asking.
Which one was that?
So
that was the twins.
Johnny, you joined because you were asking
the most over the top episode.
You were asking about Jaina and Jason, and I was gonna say, if anything, I think it's because that was one of the episodes that the creator said this takes place after episode 9, and you see in the flashes like the Sith acolytes and stuff from Exegol, and like this is like what they made these twins, and it's a Gemini class Star Destroyer, and like this is what the Sith acolytes did on Exegol afterwards. Like,
their helmets, I loved their helmets. Her helmet,
cool.
It was blatantly like this is Darth Vader and Kylo Ren put together.
Yeah, I mean like it had, I liked like the action, like I liked the over the topness of it, but it wasn't my favorite episode. I don't know. I thought the voice. No. I watched it. We watched it originally dubbed, and I found the dialogue or at least the translation to be kind of odd in that episode.
That was the one with Neil Patrick Harris, right?
And Alison Brie.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought it was probably one of the.
I'm taking it to a galaxy far, far away, and I was.
Dude, when he's like upside down
so
on an X-wing, like with like an infinity lightsaber that goes like shoots like miles and miles, and it cuts the Star Destroyer in half. Like,
she was like General Grievous with like octopus arms at one point.
That's right.
I mean, that armor was sweet. The Kyber armor or whatever was going on there.
Yeah, it was cool.
But I mean, I kind of expected nothing less from
Studio Trigger. Yeah, that's exactly what.
Like, how do you feel, or how does everybody? Well, I know how some of us feel, but like, I just feel like all of these episodes are like pilots for like actual shows.
Yeah, we were saying that.
Like, want to hope we get it one day.
Yeah, and we were agreeing that since across the board, most people on the internet are praising episode 5 and how that is like, it just seems like a perfect setup.
Episode 5,
all the characters are there. Like
the Ninth Jedi, like, it's so good. It was so good. Oh my God.
I don't know if anybody else got the vibe of like, you know how like there's Miyazaki movies, but then there's also like, have you ever looked back into like older Miyazaki movies from like the 80s?
Right.
Like I feel like it almost made me feel like I was watching an animation from the 80s.
It does. Yeah, it has that vibe.
Right. Well, yeah,
but it was like a modern interpretation. Yeah, I just loved it.
Out of all the lightsaber noises, episode 5, like when she is running on the ice and you just like hear the saber moving, like you get those A New Hope sounds. And
I loved the like the cranes with like the that like catapulted. That was so cool. Like
that almost felt like great.
Yeah, they're like such a cool piece of like Star Wars tech that like totally makes sense.
Well, it's just like a reverse oil rig, which I think is fun. Instead of going down,
they're mining for asteroids.
Mining asteroids, literally. Yeah, it's so cool. And what was I gonna say?
It would like catapult, but then like rocket.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it was so
and then pull it back down.
And then like home onto an asteroid.
Yeah,
so that's what they showed like a little kyber crystal, an asteroid.
Yeah, that's how it opens.
Like,
so they're mining for kyber crystals from space. Then
it opens that like this outer rim planet, High Islam or whatever, like Juro Margrave somehow, which is like one of the coolest characters. Yeah, this Jedi
Margrave Juro. Yeah,
Margrave Juro. Yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, that was the episode that combined 2 stories.
Yes.
Right.
Originally,
so I imagine it was what the girl separately and then the Jedi.
The saber, originally it was going to be the Sabersmith was a separate one, and the production, because it was announced like, and it happened recently because in December it was announced as 10 episodes, but there's only 9 because IG combined them.
Dude, did you also who watched Invincible here? Did anybody watch Invincible?
Oh yeah,
I almost immediately got a like Omni-Man killing the Guardians vibe when like. There was like a switch of like, usually when there's like a twist or a switch, it's like a character's like, just kidding, I'm the bad guy. This was like all of the characters you thought were Jedi are actually like Sith, and then the guy you thought was a bad guy was a good guy. Yeah.
I know there were a lot of twists in that one, and I was surprised that I was surprised. I mean, it's not that on the nose, but
no, it was not even just the twist. Like the whole episode was just so good.
Really
I love the visuals. And
I mean, the fight scenes in general.
I love seeing like that many Jedi at once.
Talk about Ethan, Johnny. Talk about
and
Ethan.
then they even
Greetings, my name is Ethan.
Greetings, my name is.
Hello, my name is Ethan.
Oh, he was the one that was actually a Jedi. That was the And then Omen was the character that like went bad for a sec, but then came back. Yeah. So there was 4 of them there at the end, then, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was Kara, Margrave Juro,
Ethan,
Omen, and Ethan.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There's a crew right there. Like start a show right there. You have 4 main characters. There are 4 Jedi. Why is it called the 9th Jedi though? Because they killed the other ones. What was
there were 8 of them, and she was the last.
So
one.
Now there's only 4. There's only 4 Jedi.
Well, no, he says though that he feels more out there, wondering and like.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
so there's your show right there. They're trying to assemble like the Knights of the Round Table or whatever. Like,
and find her father. Yeah, it's a whole like.
Right.
I also like that not only did the color of the saber change according to your alignment to the Force, but also the Margrave saber got that like ring around
the little halo crossguard thing.
That was pretty cool.
Loved it. The second he grabbed the red saber and it just
shiny chops that guy in half.
I love that.
And also that the deaths weren't like censored. Like they would they literally burned that one guy alive.
That was brutal.
Yeah. And I'm like, yes, dude, like hardcore deaths where people actually like suffer.
Jedi or Sith having like their lightsaber, like each color, like they had their significant like their individual color. I thought that was so cool. Like no matter like what saber they picked up.
You know what? The fact that I just mentioned the Knights of the Round Table actually makes me think of another thing I wanted to mention, which was that across the board here, a lot of people will use the term parable, but I don't necessarily like that so much in terms of like, there were a lot of stories that were very familiar here. Like we were mentioning the like Padme and Anakin for episode 9, where it's the he goes to the dark side in order to bring her back to life or whatever. Obviously, in episode 9 here, he succeeds. He brings her back to life, but the price he pays is that he's now a Sith, right? But anyway, I was thinking, Knights of the Round Table is one example, but I feel like, to me, Visions really made me feel comfortable with the concept of, like, you can take any familiar story and just tell it in the Star Wars universe, and it's work.
Good.
Like, do Robin Hood. Like, why don't do Robin Hood in Star Wars? Or do think of a story that's like a.
I mean, even the original trilogy is just the traditional fairy tale. I mean, look at the first movie alone. Like, there's a evil wizard in a big fortress. They have to go save.
Boy meets girl, goes on adventure,
and it's like the hero's journey.
Slays the dragon.
The most raw form.
Like, maybe they're trying to figure out the recipe, and the recipe is they're just overcomplicating it.
Yeah, and also, it's funny because of like a lot of the internet arguing over the whole Disney trying to force, female empowerment down our throats, and like the Force is female and Rey is just a girl because they needed her to be a girl, not because she's. All these people arguing over whatever, but here I didn't question anybody's. There's a bunny girl, and I wasn't like, there's no rabbits in Star Wars. I was literally like, this is dope.
Yeah. Well, actually, Jackson has been around since 1978.
Because
that's what they base her up on.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with like your gender. It's all like, what is the story? What's going on here? Like, I don't care what gender you are, and we proved that with the Mandalorian, where you got that scene with Cara Dune and Bo-Katan and Fennec Shand, and then what's her name?
Casca Reeves,
where it was just like, oh, they're kicking total ass right now, and I'm like, hell yes, and they just happen to all be women, not like, it's not like, oh, they kick ass because they're women. It's like, no, they kick ass and they happen to be women. And that, to me, I felt like there was a lot of strong female characters in this show. Right. A lot of, like, just girls kicking ass. Even the Sith lady in the beginning gave me Ventress vibes.
It's Lucy Liu, like, man.
Yeah, but it's like I haven't, like, the strong female bad guy. I feel like Asajj Ventress is, like, the ultimate example of that.
Yeah, but then she's a good guy, so that doesn't...
but that's why Asajj is my favorite character. I've told you this. So Asajj that's my girl right there.
Well, that's what's sort of like, I mean, Star Wars...
Do you know your rankings? Oh,
yeah,
sorry, Dylan.
I think you know what, I feel like it was going to be a lot different for a lot. We mentioned this at the beginning that like Levi called them the alternative favorites are episodes 4 and 8 for the people that are like, because 1, 5, and 7 are like clearly the best episodes in most people's minds. But then I've seen a lot of people being like 4 and 8 are their favorite just because like something specific about that episode hit for them, or it just that was their particular.
I really
cup of
liked
tea.
Akakiri the last one.
Yeah, that was okay. It wasn't one of my favorites. Same. I feel like the only one that I'm like putting on the bottom is episode 2. The first time I watched it, I had fun because I liked the music concept, and I mentioned in my reaction that like in A New Hope, you go into the cantina, dun 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 dun, right, and it's like, okay, 1977 is. We've established that this galaxy has bands. It has music. It has probably radio stations. It has like popular culture that like there, and then you see the original Max Rebo band in Return of the Jedi. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the original.
Yes, I mean Jedi Rocks is just straight up like a Michael Jackson song that John Williams composed.
As a kid, I always loved that song, and then George Lucas ruined it.
Hey now.
That's a strong.
I
did love that shot.
Jedi Rocks is the best.
Anyway. Anyway, I was just saying that, like,
hell yeah, that's my childhood right there.
Guys, John Williams music. You can't
do a cover.
You can't overstate the importance of music in Star Wars. Is what I was saying.
Neck, not Jedi Rocks. Yeah, Lopty Neck is the original '83, and that is it's just like listening. It's like listening to a space Michael Jackson song from the '80s. It's so good.
Love it.
Like John Williams.
Anyway, I just liked the idea of like, okay, there's punk music, there's electric guitars, there's drums, there's these teenagers kind of that are they just sounded like like a punk band or whatever. And to me, I liked that it was like, this isn't far out there because I know that there's little like bald alien groups playing clarinets in bars in Star Wars.
Yeah, they literally showed them.
It's been a thing for 45 years. Right. So there's piano bars in Star Wars. There's definitely rock bands. It's not like this far out concept. To me, it was like I liked that something that seemed far out wasn't actually far out. It actually made sense, except for Emo the Hutt, the the scene hair on the hut was.
I liked Punk Hut.
I like Punk Hut, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I was not.
I think honestly, I think probably all new nerds. I think we like Tatooine.
I liked Tatooine.
Yeah.
I liked the dumbed down, like almost like they almost looked like Lego men in some places, where it was just like shorter.
Really
all the characters were very short.
Really
Yeah,
I mean, like Chibi
so
Boba
funny.
was
Bib Fortuna looked.
Bib
with Tev's
was
voice.
incredible. Yeah.
Did you notice Bib Fortuna? He just looked like a
course.
little
Yeah.
worm. It was just like.
Jabba too.
I love
All
the
you
shot of the
Indians-
Cantina band all upset watching the
speaking
like
of-
the
Yes.
what's it called? That band.
And speaking of
playing.
Jedi Rocks, you get to see all of the special edition dancers in that little chibi form
Yeah.
too, and I love that. You know,
Yeah.
my Lin
Anyway,
May
that was-
and my Griata and my Ristal Sant. Come on, yeah, everyone. Okay.
Nerd.
Anyway, I thought episode
everybody.
2 on rewatch. I liked it less than the first.
All
time.
new?
You liked it less the
So-
second time you watched
Yeah,
it?
as in I enjoyed them all on the first watch to some degree,
Right.
but on the second watch, episode 2, I was like, all right, I can get through this. I'm not really, and it was.
Oh, so you've watched it? You've seen them all?
I
twice?
watched everything through twice now. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I actually enjoyed, like the ones that I enjoyed the first time, I enjoyed like just as much or even more the second time. The
Nice.
Duel and Ninth Jedi in particular.
Did you like the Elder?
I did like the. I was saying to them earlier, like the Elder to me is like almost on par with 1 and 5, but
Yeah.
not quite. Just to me, it felt a little bit. I don't
Slower.
know.
It was slower.
Yeah. I did love, like, to me, like the whole
dialogue,
Qui-Gon Jinn vibes that I got from that
Yeah,
guy, and
I
the like
love that relationship.
the master and apprentice relationship, like all
Yeah.
of that is dope.
Yeah,
I
I agree. Yeah,
and then
that was like top 3.
The Elder character in general was awesome too. I just
yeah,
loved him.
Dude, like
And-
he just like turned into like
And the
just
like
ash at the end. It's so
turning his saber off and then putting it up and then turning it
Yeah,
on to
yeah,
kill him.
yeah.
I was like,
That
oh.
move.
so cool.
That
You haven't seen
move-
that since Ben Solo in Last Jedi, where he
Right. Yeah.
behind his head. Yeah.
But
John.
like that move was so subtle and smooth, you know,
It
like
was.
his Padawan
Elegant.
just creating enough of a distraction and like him looking away, and it was just so subtle and
Yes.
I love
Lavelle,
that.
thanks for the super chat. Even though we don't have long-haired Mike, I will still pay my tithes and offerings. Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, I am. Let's just say unshowered.
I heard
I've been
murmurings
doing.
that
I've been doing a
long-haired
lot
Mike
of
would be
reactions the last 2 days. It's been a busy.
Yeah. Wait. You've
I did
been-
all
you've been
9.
grinding.
Plus,
I'm proud of you, Mike. Everybody,
thank you.
Give a round of
Thank you.
applause to Mike for editing the crap out of so many things.
You know what? I actually, it was
That
tough
was fun.
because reactions in general, the 10-minute rule is to like cut it down to
Yeah.
less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But a lot of these episodes were like 15 minutes long, so it was like,
Right.
wait, what do I cut it? Like,
You-
how do I cut this?
Yeah.
And
find
I
they're
did.
doing
I
well?
ran into a bunch of copyright claims.
Yeah, I bet you. That's a whole process too. Yeah.
Yeah. So fortunately,
It's not
shorter
easy. I
videos
kind of gave up, but
export
I'll get back
faster and upload faster and process faster.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't as much of a bitch in that regard.
That's
It ain't
good.
easy
That's
reacting.
good. It ain't easy, especially editing.
No, it isn't.
No.
So wait, let's think. Episode 1, yes. 2, 3, we talked about briefly. 3 was the most over the top, and
Yeah.
I still enjoyed the shit out of it though. Episode 4 was a slow burn,
We
but I
haven't really
loved
talked
it.
about Village Bride really at all.
Yeah, like I was saying, Village Bride. I could tell the second time that I watched it, like, because I already knew like how it ended and how like it was gonna pick up. So like I was more prepared to kind of like absorb that slow burn in the beginning. The second time around, the first time I watched it, I was a little bored with it at first, being like, all right, this is kind of just like cool. I'm enjoying it, but not really.
I think it
like,
picks up in the ending.
it does exactly. Like at
See,
the
for
end, I was
me,
like, oh yeah, okay.
The Village
cool, but-
Bride is is a sleeper hit because you don't.
Yes.
You get the way. So she is clearly an ex-Jedi or whatever. It's post Order 66. The Empire, the Separatists, it's fallen, and the Empire's rising. So they're out. She's out hiding. And the way that she reconnects with the Force through reflecting this environment, because the episode starts with her arriving to the planet, because her and her friend are probably like scouting a place to hide, and she witnessing this way this small village connects with the Force, then like reflects upon her, because that you're really watching, you're seeing it through her eyes, the bride, and you're trying to figure out like what's happening here, and it rekindles her own connection with nature and the Force, and so by the end, when she takes off that mask and chops that braid, and she like whips out that saber and she starts giving that speech, that is the only one that gave me chills. Even though I like other episodes more, that is the only point in our first reactions through that I had chills.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, Like
she stops the guy from shooting her sister.
She stops the bolt,
and you see her like, you know, it's like a foreshortened shot like that, and you see it like, and I was like, and there was a cool musical flourish right there where it was like Star Wars moment, like,
yeah,
and
it was just
you know,
like, wow.
Then she got the badass rocket heels.
I know, and some of the rocket heels, cool, and some of the just the
fact that she was in heels in general.
Of like the ship that the Warlord had is the Ebonhawk from the Knights of the Old Republic, like
that was a Corellian. That was a Corellian freighter, wasn't it?
Yeah, but like one from the Old Republic, which I think is
cool.
You see it a lot in Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic MMO. But like that's like the scene that was cool. The battle droids having Matt Wood battle droid comedy, like that's we like overlooked, and I haven't seen a lot of discourse about that. But those were some funny battle droid moments. And then I don't know, it's a sleeper hit for me.
Yeah, definitely sleeper hit. I wouldn't put it up there with 1, 5, and 7, but it's
I'm the alternative.
It's my A tier though. It's definitely, or you know what, I might put it in. I don't know if I'd put that in B tier actually. Yeah, you know what, I'd put episodes 1 and 5 in S tier, and I would put episodes 7, 4, and 8 in A tier, and then I'd put episodes 3 and 9 in B tier. And I'd put episode 6 in C tier. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, and then episode 2 in F tier.
F, really?
And F tier, you know, that's rough.
I'm trying to like. I don't want to like come out like I didn't even use D or F.
No, I know.
Fine, you can put it in.
We always run into that issue where it's like all kind of just.
She was really good.
Yeah.
I think too. I don't know.
Ben like Tatooine Rhapsody. That's awesome.
Disagrees.
No, it was definitely fun. It was fun in its own way. Did you notice the shot of like Ithorian dancing? Like,
yeah, it was.
Yeah, I was like, this, yeah, they were. I liked the way that they were dumbed down animations of familiar characters.
I mean, it's like we were saying this earlier, but like Visions is just awesome because it's
plus Tamura Morrison's voice, cool.
Like John was saying, it's like when Star Wars doesn't hit you, it's like it's just not fun and it doesn't feel good, and you feel a little level of entitlement. Like I'm supposed to like this, why don't I? But Visions is just like you don't like some of them. So what? So be it. You know what? It's not the end of the world.
100%.
This is not something that Disney is backing with.
It's literally not canon.
Yeah, not canon.
Right.
That's Johnny. That's what I said. I think initially was that it not being canon let me enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, I feel like there's already a book for Ronin, right? There's like an actual novel. Is it? Is it telling? Is it telling his backstory and kind of introducing why he's hunting down Sith and collecting their crystals? Yes. I love that he gave the crystal to the kid at the end, though, and it was like, "Here, kid, keep this."
It warns away evil, is what he said.
And I was like, "Actually, it is evil." Like,
but that's what made me think is he gives the kid a dark side crystal, so then that's dark side energy. So then why would the Sith or anybody dark side really?
Yeah, but then you think of Margrave Juro grabbing a saber and it just turning green instantly, and it's like, okay, we do know that you can purify crystals, that you can, you know, Ahsoka takes Inquisitor sabers and makes them white. Right?
There are rules to the universe of that universe that we just don't understand yet that we'll learn in
I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. So. Yeah. Anyway, I thought episode 1 was fantastic. It was beautiful. It was like an audio visual, just like awesome. But I don't think that lends itself well to like a show because of like the style of the animation. It was more just like this is great for a book. Like that's awesome.
The Night Jedi, dude. I just want to see the Night Jedi.
But episode 5, 100%. I'm like. You could easily do seasons of that because that style animation is not hard. It's not expensive to produce.
Right.
It's minimal actual animation. Like I said, it's really like they're producing beautiful frames and
I could see as
telling
a
story.
I'm like, the twins maybe. But...
Oh, also those like Embo style like samurai
Jedi hunters.
Yeah, policemen that showed up to. Yeah, they reminded me of Embo with those hats, but also like kind of like a rice paddy worker.
John, earlier were you joking when you said you had read Ronin, or were you being serious?
No. There was something similar that I misspoke. There's a manga that I used to read called Blade of the Immortal, and the style is identical to the Duel. And so you were like, oh yeah, there's a book, and as soon as you were like, yeah, it's based on that character, I was like, oh no, I messed up. So no, I didn't read that. I read something else.
Gotcha. I was like, people have read it, like it's out there. And I don't know. I was like, maybe he got an early.
Well, people were like, it's Yojimbo.
Levi wanted to hook up.
He looked like Yojimbo.
If I could, I would. But yeah.
What'd you say?
I said he looked like Yojimbo.
Yes.
There's one thing that I liked a lot that I noticed on the second watch of the duel is when those bandits come into town that they're riding in like a repurposed AT-AT body.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that.
Like,
just seeing little
that
things.
episode had the coolest, most diverse like character
there was a Trandoshan. There was a Tusken Raider. There was a Gonk droid. There was an astromech probe droid. Yeah.
When that Trandoshan pulled out the minigun, I loved that scene, like just the way they framed it looked so good. And then it's followed up with the umbrella lightsaber deflecting.
Yeah, the umbrella lightsaber.
Amazing.
Lightsaber attachments. That's something that has not been really.
Yeah. To me, that was a lot better than helicopter lightsaber, which is kind of like. Because at first I was like, oh, she used it.
Coming to live action
soon. We're gonna get that Kenobi coming very soon.
The fact that it was very clearly an umbrella, though. The fact that she could like stick it through you and then open it up, she
chopped you into pieces.
Impale the guy and then oh my god, that's like a medieval torture.
If we don't see
weapon,
the Inquisitor's blades used as a helicopter in Kenobi, I will riot. And the show.
I will be very happy if we don't see that.
So we're
be very upset.
It's Sung. What's his name? Sung
Kang. Yeah.
Sung Kang, and we think he's the fifth brother, and he's going to be in Kenobi, and we think that there might actually be additional Inquisitors too, though, not just that one, because fifth brother and seventh sister, Sarah Michelle Gellar, they could even.
I would hope
they come in pairs of two. So
I mean, would you get Sarah Michelle Gellar to play that? Yeah,
I would,
or at least use her voice, right? You could. Because you would have to get somebody very physical to play an Inquisitor.
Does it sound wrong to say that she was Buffy?
She was Buffy in the 90s.
Okay, in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm like, why? That's my brain going. But I was like, I know she's Buffy. Why does
I think you could. I think that's a character that you could get like a stunt woman, cool person to play it, and then get her to voice it.
There's still some actresses that we don't know who they're playing, right?
Well,
Kenobi.
Yeah, we don't want to go on this whole path, but Moses Ingram is a character who also has lightsabers, and we don't know who she's playing. Yeah.
So, I would love to see that fifth brother, seventh sister pairing.
A lot of lightsabers in Kenobi, just like in the Ninth Jedi.
You know what? Another thing that I love is. People are pointing out George Lucas started Star Wars on being influenced by Kurosawa and samurai movies.
Don't even get me started on some of those takes. I know, but don't even get me started.
Well, the whole concept of it coming full circle, and now it's you're making samurai movies out of Star Wars, or you're making that I love, and also dude, just the I feel like the samurai lore in general just lends itself so well to the Star Wars universe.
Some of these people, man. Just being like, I don't know if you saw, there was a infamous now tweet that was just like, I don't think the Japanese culture just doesn't work with Star Wars.
Oh god,
and it was just like,
what's one of the best lightsaber fights in all? To me,
we wouldn't get
Twin Sons
in the design of Darth Vader.
Obi-Wan versus Maul in Star Wars Rebels.
Lightsabers as a concept in the fighting.
I don't know. All of it was very lot of ratios on that tweet.
Just very incorrect. I gotta pop out. My phone's gonna die. So
thanks for popping in, Johnny. We're actually gonna wrap the stream up pretty soon.
Okay. Good to see you guys.
If there's anything we didn't cover, we did all the episodes, right? I was gonna say about Twin Sons, Kenobi versus Maul in the desert in
What
Star
If
Wars
this
Rebels.
week. Hey, I liked What If. Johnny's gone now, so I can say it. I liked it. He hated it.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Not my favorite, but I thought it was definitely hilarious. John, Rossi, did you watch What If?
I'm sorry, which one are we talking about?
We're talking about Thor. What if Thor was an only child?
Oh yeah, it was funny. I mean,
it was funny. Yeah,
it was a throwaway episode to me.
Yeah.
I watched all of Visions twice, and then I was like, just looking for something, I guess, to put on, and I was like,
oh yeah, right.
I totally forgot about this.
Yeah, What If still exists.
I think that Disney knew what they were doing. Like they strategically put that episode following Visions, knowing
not even following the same day at the exact same time.
I don't want to keep following this everything drops on Wednesday notion that we've been getting just because Loki did good on a Wednesday. I don't know. It's I feel like Star Wars works so well on Friday. And then have our Marvel on Wednesday. Like when we got Mandalorian and WandaVision, I think it was going at the same time. That worked beautifully.
It was I don't think that ever happened.
No, they weren't at the same time, but that was still just like Friday.
It was still Friday, but still
they weren't overlapping at any point.
It was Loki and Bad Batch.
Yeah, Loki and Bad Batch was
right. Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
It's the end of the week, and like when Mandalorian was airing, like that Friday, it was just so relaxing to be able to finally. I know, Mike, it was drastically different for you, but I would get home from work and sit down and watch The Mandalorian and just be able to relax, knowing that it's the weekend. And like, granted, my job is drastically different now, so the Wednesday doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, I don't know why they just jumped on this Wednesday bandwagon. Like it's weird.
I'm still upset about the 3 a.m. shit I have to deal with.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I really just wish
it easy.
Sucks to suck.
You know, it actually doesn't though, because if it was midnight, then I would be inclined to like record and then like edit like hours later. So I do kind of appreciate like getting up early and then just like getting the work done. Like,
I'm trying to think of just something we haven't mentioned.
Well, I was going to say, I was going back to Samurai, and I was mentioning Obi-Wan versus Maul in the desert because one of the things people, and me too, love about that fight is that like it's like, oh my god, Obi-Wan versus Maul, here we go, and then it lasts like
a second.
Literally a couple seconds. It's like they clash sabers maybe once or twice, and then Obi-Wan kills him. And there's nothing disappointing about it. It's actually one of the most like heart-stopping lightsaber fights ever, even though it hardly even happens.
But but then this leads right back to story being so strong, because those moves that they used in that fight had
all mean something.
Yeah, they all mean something. Yeah. And for anyone that missed it, I mean,
just the poses Obi-Wan takes at the beginning, or the like.
He starts with his normal like I'm about to fight General Grievous pose, but then he takes the Qui-Gon pose to lure Maul into doing what he did to Qui-Gon, but then he chops through it. And it's like
and that's that subtle imagery. Like hearing Sam Witwer, that's where I first read about that, was Sam Witwer being like, no, you have to like think about what's going into this scene. Like all of these little moves mean something. It's all very significant.
So good.
But that to me was like a strength in Visions. Was I mentioned how like sometimes they would just drop the audio out almost completely. Like in the duel, you just hear a little wisp of wind, and it would happen like right before they would like rush and like clash sabers, and that. Knowing when to dial it back and have it be minimal, have it be like less is more. Mm-hmm. To me, that was perfect. It wasn't over the top. It was, there were aspects of like episode 3 that were over the top.
But
in general, Visions had like the fact that there's a lot of 15-minute episodes that still have like slow burn parts in them. It's like, you don't have that much time to play with here. How are they being so patient? How it like, to me, that being able to reserve everything for the right moment, to like hold back and like only go crazy when it was absolutely necessary, that was a super strength of almost every episode of this series. Yeah. And I love that. I want to see more of, not just like these characters in these episodes and these art styles, but the storytelling, that style of keeping it slow, being patient with it, and having it pay off in the end, as you guys were saying with episode 4.
So like, it's interesting because of how, and I'm not picking on the sequels at all, but like the breakneck speed of the last movie and how much they crammed into it, versus like you only have 15 minutes to make a whole new audience care about characters they never saw before, and it work. Like it says something. So like, where I'm just trying to say, like 9 has so many characters, so many, and not everyone is.
Well, I think I have
but also they'll tease Dark Ray with a fold-out double lightsaber and then have it be like a 2-second imagination, and that's it.
I think I have a good rebut to that is in the context of the conversation, is that this was, because obviously Star Wars was inspired by, I think, 2 main things, and one of them is the Western and samurai films, then the other is the Flash Gordon serials and the serial aspect. And The Rise of Skywalker is clearly like more of an homage to the serials, like whereas the Last Jedi is an homage to the samurai films. And like they took JJ wanted to do, this is going to be like a serialized thing, and when you watch it in that context, I think it makes more sense. Whereas Visions is obviously being Japanese created, that it's like it's the two halves of Star Wars, and for better or for worse, Rise of Skywalker is almost all of the serial aspect and less the samurai aspect, whereas Visions is way more samurai than it is serial.
Yeah, I actually think...
But I think both parts are still Star Wars. They're both like those are two things that inspired the original Star Wars.
100%. I'm just impressed that 15 minutes they told us.
Oh yes, 100%. It is impressive.
Enamored with.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say though was I just wanted to shout out specifically Lop and Ocho, the way that I think that is the one that feels the most like a Miyazaki movie.
Yeah,
but the way
100%.
like it's a weird thing to say, but the way the camera is used in that one, the framing of that, it was like amazing, and that's what makes that one is like S tier.
I actually felt I was like, is this Studio Ghibli? It feels like it.
Like
it
specifically the conversation between Lop and Ocho in that speeder, like the way it's framed on Ocho's face, and like there's certain just shots where I'm like, that is just a good shot. And I want to see more of this, and just that one blew me away in terms of the production of it.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Well, you were saying also just showing the city was really cool. You know, the environment and everything. I just loved all of that.
And the 7 years flash forward, I love that too.
Yeah,
I love they did that.
Yeah,
that's great. It immediately adds story. You know, immediately you have there is a time between here where because you start with. We're gonna be one big happy family. By the end, she's smashing that hologram, and there's like that 7-year gap of like, man, they've been through some stuff.
I like that they also visually made it obvious that like even though Lop like became like a teenager and like looked older, she was still short. She stayed short comparatively to the other characters and was much smaller because she's a bunny. They also put little carrot. Did you notice they put carrots on her? She had like she had like a carrot jewelry, and she also had something else with a carrot on it. But I was like, wow, they're being very like, this is a bunny. They even showed her like when she took that long fall, like she has very big feet, like a rabbit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Very cool. Is that it? Is that pretty much we've talked about every episode, right?
I think the only thing we didn't talk about was the yellow lightsaber and how the Suba just opened up when the saber turned on in
Village Bride.
Yeah, we never talked about her saber, but that's it.
Well, I did mention that it was one of the. You could tell that it was a flat-bladed, like samurai style, slight curve, and then like a little bit of a point at the end, as opposed to the rounded end. And we did mention earlier how like it was not just a stylistic like, oh, this is how we draw lightsabers, because they had the Padawan with the normal lightsaber and the Elder with the samurai style, so. They coexisted in the same space.
Obviously, following the whole Japanese culture and the katana and like illustrating the lightsabers after that. I personally think that like all the sabers were really great, but the two that I had the biggest issue with were the ones in the twins. Like those sabers just looked so big and clunky.
They were wacky.
Yeah, they were wacky. Like, how do you hold it?
They look like the saber that they have at the Star Cruiser, the Galaxy Star Cruiser. The one that's real. That's like the hilt is way too big because it's containing all that machinery to make it go out. So that's what it looks
actually,
like uncomfortable.
I felt like that one was the most like stylistically close to the Galaxy of Adventures animations that they had made.
Yeah, those are so good.
Yeah, those are fun. So but did you feel like the twins was the most like stylistically similar to that?
Definitely similar in style.
I don't know. That you really you should watch Promare. It's a Studio Trigger film that I watched before Visions to sort of prepare myself for what they had done. And their stuff is like always over the top. Like their whole point is like parody.
Yeah, it's wacky.
It's
like, how can we take as many anime tropes as possible and just make it into one?
Make it into one thing. Like there's a giant mech suit called like Deus Ex Mechana. Like it's like it's funny. Like, to be fair, I watched it subbed and not dubbed. So there's one final point on that is I really think watching it dubbed takes back a lot of the fun of the twins, because a lot of the lines are meant to be delivered in like this serious tone, but you're hearing them in Japanese and reading the subtitles and you're like, oh, this is funny. But when you hear like Neil Patrick Harris saying it, it's like, are you trying to be like serious? Is this a joke? Like you don't get the sarcasm as much because it's not being delivered in the way it was written. And so I think you lose a lot of the charm of the twins. And I still need, that's one of the ones I still need to rewatch with just Japanese.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'll just say that. Having seen their other work, which I really enjoyed.
Somebody had made a really funny remark on my reaction, being like, somebody was like, "How the hell can you watch this in English dub? It's so cringe," or whatever. And then somebody commented below like, "Not everybody thinks like generic anime gasp sound number 37 inserted every 10 seconds is the pinnacle of voice acting."
Yeah.
And I think this is a little bit different because a lot of times dubs are poorer, and they don't reflect the thing because it was a thing that was made and then later
it's
someone
also
dubbed it.
all your base are belong to us.
Yeah, this was like a
the
fully
translations
thing
are so fucked sometimes.
where they
But
got
there are some
to do it.
I'll do it with the force running through my body.
So there are some. I used to stand on this. I used to back this also, but like there are some English dubs that were actually done really well. There's one specifically. So if you ever watch the original English dub for Akira, it's the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle voice actor. So just like taking that, it's funny because like you listen, watch
Tetsuo
Kaneda! You watch it in Japanese and it's so serious, but then you watch it with and it has to be the original English dub. But it's like all the turtles and it's so funny.
Did you see the poster of the Ninth Jedi, but it's in the Akira style where it's her on the bike?
Yes.
And then
That was
so good.
Cool.
So yeah, I think we all agree then that like the Ninth Jedi could and should be its own show. That you could easily make multiple ongoing episodes of that. Have them be like the new Knights of the Round Table. They're looking for the more knights to fill out their squad.
You know, I'll take
and they go on adventures. You know,
and
take
like a novel. You know, I'm a reader. I read.
Yeah,
I read.
Be reading.
I'll take it.
Anyway, and that
it's almost similar to the Jedi Fallen Order. So like I like the changes obviously in this.
And that's literally what it is actually.
I thought the companion droid in Lop and Ocho reminded me of BD1 actually.
Yeah, definitely.
It had a very similar like sort of square head and.
Once again, I'll put it in here because Johnny left, but Johnny's favorite droid, one of his favorite droids, is 49, which is the droid in
49s was cool. It reminded me of Eve. It looked like Eve from WALL-E.
It did,
but like a Star Wars version. It had the same like just like round head, a can, and then like two floating arms.
Yeah, it was a really cool droid.
Yeah. So yeah, that's another thing they did a lot of is the little companion droid. There's always the little companion character is a very Star Wars thing. Just having like R2D2.
That R2 unit is so cool.
That straw hat.
So awesome.
And the whole like putting the pot on to boil and
the missile launcher.
That is just like one of the coolest things ever. Just like, what does he say? He's like, repair this by the time this pot boils. Like,
yeah.
What a just cool thing. I'm gonna start using that in my everyday.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, I also loved the black and white with little hints of color everywhere that were like just like lightsaber colors, blue, green, red, and yellow is all you saw. Loved it. And I think we all agree, though, that it's like, that's cool. I'd like to see more about Ronin, but that couldn't really be a show necessarily in that style.
It would be a very hard watch.
Like, it had it almost had like an aha take on me, like pencil drawing kind of feeling to it at points where it was like messy on purpose. Like where they would like animating her afro. It just kind of had like scribbles in it, you know, but it was like well done.
What's interesting is the intro. I know we already talked about this, but the intro when it pans down from the stars to the forest, like my eyes wanted to see that nice high def Star Wars environment, and like they were trying to focus to see it, you know, in the art. But then all of a sudden realizing, oh, this is hand drawn or
it's so good. Well, it's CG,
like, whatever it is. But the technique is not. They're not going for that Star Wars, you know, overdone, super sharp, really amazing. It just took my eyes like a minute. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, I feel like episode 9, like the drawing quality was. I mean, it's just a style. It's not necessarily on purpose, but I mean, I don't know. But I feel like the quality wasn't quite as good in the drawings. Like the faces didn't look.
I think it was style for sure.
I feel like though, like Village Bride and Lop and Ocho both had that very like Miyazaki, like, whoa, this is like feudal Japan, like
polished,
straight up. Yeah, like the backgrounds are all very like landscapey and like just look like cool paintings and stuff. So yeah, I feel like those, the Lop and Ocho and the Village Bride are ones where it's like, oh, you could maybe make movies out of them, not necessarily make them into a show. You could do like an hour and a half movie for the Lop and Ocho one. That could be a cool like Miyazaki Star Wars style. Like here's a full length anime movie.
I think time will tell.
But the Ninth Jedi should actually be a like, dude, do a show. Do it. Just fucking do it. Just do a show.
I just hope now that other you know, studios see the success of this, and Disney too. I hope other studios take on some Star Wars Visions projects so we can see
That
more.
would be so cool.
Yeah,
I mean, the dream obviously would be like Ghibli. They wouldn't do one.
Yeah,
but
or even do like a Love, Death, and Robots.
I was gonna say
Star
Wars.
Wars.
Reminded me of that a lot.
Even American, all
Animatrix.
Any animation studio, have at it.
Right.
Sky's the limit. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, I actually don't know though, because Ghibli technically, like Ghibli America is owned by Disney, or they're like maybe not anymore actually. I don't know. There's Ghibli's.
Yeah, well, Miyazaki himself isn't really like in charge anymore. He's I don't think
he's his son.
He's too old to be like actually animating.
Well, Miyazaki's making one more movie, but after he's done, I think Ghibli is, because he quit originally, or retired, not to go too deep into this, and they're like, we can't do it without Miyazaki because his son doesn't make very good movies.
No.
So,
sorry, son. Sorry, Miyazaki, son. But
I think he's making one more, and then he's
I did not like
said
that
like 4 or 5 times though. Too.
I did not like that HBO movie.
No, it sucked.
Miyazaki, I didn't
Wig
like
and the
that.
Witch.
Good,
No,
I passed on it.
Not good.
Yeah, if I could pick and choose, I would say I would like to see a La Pinocho movie, and I'd like to see a Ninth Jedi show. And then I want to see more like Ronin. I know there's a book, and I'm hoping I'll take a look at it.
You think any video game spin-offs?
But then obviously I think you could get a second season. No,
not about a video game. I think a video game is.
Although Toby one is pretty much a video game.
A video game is probably one of the. This is going to be a whole other conversation, but a video game is probably one of the hardest things to make as a medium. They take like any little change in, like with a movie or an anime show, like you make changes to the story, changing your workflow and the production of it is a lot easier than for programmers and people developing assets for games to be like. Famously, this happened with the Darth Maul game. George Lucas just tanked it because he kept giving them different ideas, and you can't really like pivot like that as a game studio, and so it just fell apart and crashed and burned because changing like whole environments, like, it's just not something that's tenable. So I don't know if a whole game based on something that isn't canon and not even like, oh well, it's not canon, like, because obviously Knights of the Old Republic, people love that, that's not canon, but these things are just so out there, like I don't know if I'd want it gamified. I don't know if I want that in a game. I just like
the only reason I think my brain went there is because of oh my god, why am I drawing a blank? Ocho and
La Pinocho,
thank you. I couldn't get it out. Sorry, brain fart. But like La Pinocho just reminded me a lot of Sonic, you know, like the old Sonic TV show. So I don't know. I just made that little connection. I was like,
maybe they reverse engineered into the she runs fast. She collects rings.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've pretty much wrapped it up. We've talked about every episode. Star Wars Visions.
It's good, guys. Visions is good.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm really happy too. I'm really happy that there's you go on, like if you're on Facebook and like it's recommending like a Star Wars thing and you go into the comment section, like I'm used to it just being like fuck Disney Star Wars, like this shit is so fucking lame, like but I feel like
the High Republic treatment.
I feel like there's always going to be some degree of that, but I've been looking at a lot of comment sections and I see a lot of positive energy towards this, and I'm really happy about that because it was one of those things where I was afraid it was going to be very polarizing, and it might still be to some degree just because anime and people having the like, why does Disney need to stick its foot in everything? Like this is just another like do your own thing. Why do you have to like try and make anime your thing? It's just
people have been asking for this. Honestly, I've been asking for it. Like when I was a kid, I had I still do actually have all of the Return of the Jedi. I have all of Return of the Jedi in manga version. It looks amazing. And also, I don't know if anybody's seen this, but this kind of lends itself well to this. But if you liked Visions and want more, there's a really cool TIE Fighter.
TIE Fighter, man.
It's so good. TIE Fighter goes
like man.
The music in that
another
is awesome.
Style. It's a totally different style than what we got from Visions, even, and like it pays homage to classic manga anime styles.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, hopefully Visions gets some more people like comfortable with the idea of anime. Watching more of it, and then it can just keep intertwining. We get more Visions, stuff like that. It'll be great.
The music in that TIE Fighter is short.
Yeah,
so
love it. Electric guitar solo to the max, basically.
It's so good.
Yeah, love it. Also because that's from a TIE fighter's perspective, like you're the Empire. You're
It was so good.
Yeah,
man,
so good.
That came out of kind of nowhere.
Yeah, whoever made that put some time into
OTA
it.
King. That's the name of the user. I
Awesome.
think I
can
forget
tell
his
you,
name.
hand-drawn animation like that,
Yeah.
that's that quality. Like, so many frames.
And it's older.
So much work.
Like,
yeah.
it came out years ago.
2014. It was pre-Force Awakens. It was a long time ago.
Boom.
Yeah.
Somebody knew Visions was going to be happening.
Anyway, I hope that they do announce officially that they're going to be pursuing more of this soon, and that we can expect
maybe in a couple months.
Yeah,
hopefully.
and well, it's not D23, but it'll be a
Disney Plus Day. Maybe they're like, you guys liked it so much, so here you go.
Yep. I mean, since last year it was Hayden Christensen announcement and Visions and Ahsoka, and like they dropped the whole like here's these new shows we're putting out. They announced Rangers of the New Republic, which isn't a thing anymore. But they also announced the Acolyte, all of these things where we were like, holy
Rogue
crap,
Squadron.
it's a feast.
Rogue Squadron.
So
yeah. What's the next show coming out?
we still haven't seen a Andor. Andor, we need a preview. We need a trailer or something for Andor.
Yeah, we need a trailer for Boba Fett, man.
Book of Boba Fett, yeah. That should be coming soon. And by the way, Cobra Kai Season 4 finally put a teaser kind of thing out today.
Yeah, December 31st is when that's dropping.
Awesome.
So there you go. If we're getting that, Book of Boba Fett, they have to tease it soon. They have to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Thank you for joining us. John Rossi, Sabers Forever. Go check him out on Instagram. Sabers Forever.
That's a forever saber right there.
State-of-the-art lightsaber smithing needs. Installs, soundboards, all of that fun stuff for your state-of-the-art lightsaber.
Sabersforever.com.
Yes, sabersforever.com. And we're not talking about your run-of-the-mill boring lightsabers. We're talking about state-of-the-art, top-shelf, real, chop your hand off lightsabers. Oh, that was one thing they put in episode 6 I forgot to mention was Toby got his arm chopped off, which was another, echo of, okay, well, it's a Star Wars thing. Somebody's got to lose their hand.
Hey, freaking at Village Bride, the Jedi chops off freaking rocket heels into that guy's hand.
Yeah. Yep. Loved it.
All right, yeah. Do the wrap up. Wrap it up.
Yes, go on, get Dylan and Levi from All New Nerds. Go check out All New Nerds. And now you can make a baby dinosaur. All right, guys, we're out. Peace. Keep it real.
Goodbye. See ya.
See ya.